for doing this short call for me. So I wonder for the rest of the team, if you'd introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Moneycorp.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mark. My name's Kane. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Moneycorp. I've been at Moneycorp for around 18 months now, and first joined the business because I was excited about how they'd taken a very UK-based foreign exchange broker and taken this strength from FX and understanding how that particular sector works and looking to utilize it to really go in and disrupt the way that the international payments business works. There are a number of different ways that you can send money, of course, but the advances in technology over the last few years have meant that that's not necessarily exclusive to the big banks being the only people who can do that for clients. And so Moneycorp's gone on a journey over the last few years to really expand its offering beyond just FX to international payments and really focused in on the corporate market as well. And not just keeping that within the confines of the UK. We've gone on a journey, expanded into the US, Australia, Brazil, UAE, and there's many other territories now across Europe that we're considering, as well as North America. So we are very much about growth. We're about leveraging our expertise when it comes to foreign exchange and international payments. I'm able to work with a fairly broad range of clients in different sectors, but bringing our expertise to what they do so they can really benefit from managing the risk around foreign exchange and making sure that their payments get to where they need to be, and that's done as efficiently and cost effective as is possible.
Okay. So you're the CTO, so technology is a key part of that with Moneycorp, and of course you've engaged with Claranet on a public cloud project. So
that's right.
If you could tell the team, why did you decide that public cloud was the destination for Moneycorp?
Yeah, so our current data center, we have a provider, and we've got data centers all over the world, but the ones that we've got in the UK are where the vast majority of our application stack resides. And we've been told by our current data center provider that those data centers were essentially going to be retired. They were coming to end of life. So, we had a choice to make, and it was whether or not we were going to choose to go down the same track that we had, the traditional on-premise data center or the private cloud approach that we'd been using, or whether indeed public cloud was a better option. And when we considered what public cloud had to offer, we started thinking very seriously about whether or not that was the right route for us. We looked into ways in which we could serve our business better given its current growth trajectory. I think traditional on-premise and private cloud data center providers are going to really struggle to keep up with public cloud and the breadth of services and the security and the value for money that a lot of these public cloud giants can offer now. And I think that gulf is just going to get bigger. So we felt that now was a really good time, given what was happening with the situation with our current data centers, to embrace public cloud and see if that could take us forward and really provide a value add to the business.
So did you have any particular outcomes that you were targeting? What achievements do you think you can get through this engagement with public cloud that you couldn't get in a traditional data center? I mean, what benefits do you think there's in it for Moneycorp?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, as Moneycorp grows, both from a geographical perspective, because we have moved into other territories now, not just in the UK. We've got to start thinking about how we can provide really fast services to our clients who are maybe using our web platform in places like Brazil and Australia, and how our current infrastructure would be able to cope with that. And it's become really clear that we'd have to do some serious investments, and there's probably restrictions with our current data center setup. Whereas, as you'll know, with public cloud and Azure in particular, to be able to have distributed databases and to have things at the edge of your network, which is really responsive to where the clients are using the services, was something that we really wanted to be able to utilize. I think that's a much longer strategic goal for ourselves, though. There's a lot of other more near-term opportunities and things to consider. And I think, having a team of developers that can work at pace on these new product enhancements and these projects that we undertake when we grow and we take our business into other territories, that's a really important thing to consider, is how effective are those guys being in turning business requirements into actual functional software. And I think being able to work at pace without the traditional restrictions of there's a lack of hardware capacity, or we're going to have to go out and provision more servers, and sometimes having to rely on third parties to do that. Being able to move away from those restrictions, I think it's going to be key to our technology department. Being able to keep pace with the demands from the business. And as you'll know, the DevOps model is at the heart of public cloud. And that's a way of working that we really want to leverage now. To enable our technology department to keep pace with the business desire to grow and to get changes out as quickly as we can.
That's a really interesting answer, because I think people who are not too involved in the cloud market expect you to say save money. But actually your answer is all speed, agility, and flexibility. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, when we've been looking at the cost in particular, I think we're kind of aiming to be cost neutral on this. We're not necessarily seeing it as it's an opportunity to save money. I think there's quite a lot of opportunities to save money. We will look to optimize. We will look to use reserved instances, but we expect those things to come in the fullness of time.
Okay. So when we first met, you'd already decided that Microsoft Azure was your target platform. Can you share with us what the thinking behind that was and why Azure?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we did consider other platforms, and we talked to those providers as well. It'll be all the usual suspects. I think the key factors in going with Azure, though, were, well, one, our existing relationship with Microsoft was very good. We are essentially a .NET development house here as well, so everything that we're pushing out is essentially a Microsoft workload running on a Microsoft server. So there was a little uncertainty about whether or not using some of those other providers for our .NET workloads would be the best approach. We had discussions with them, and they assured us that that shouldn't be a problem. However, we have this really good existing relationship with Microsoft, and we wanted to build on that. I think the other thing to consider here as well is the flexibility that Microsoft were offering around the licensing model, where you're coming from bringing your own licenses, maybe from an on-premise data center, and being able to have a hybrid where you're moving some things into the cloud. That flexibility really struck a chord with us. The other thing, probably a lesser factor, but certainly it was a factor, is we'd had some experience with Azure as well. We were using it in a limited capacity with some of our test environments to be able to spin up some servers fairly quickly for us to do some proof of concepts. And so knowing that, again, gave us a lot more assurance about this is the track that we want to go down. The fact that Azure are investing such an incredible amount of money in their services, especially things such as security as well, just gave us that confidence that we were, putting our faith in a very trusted operator with a really high pedigree.
Okay. Yeah, we hear very similar from different customers on the market. So yeah. So we're really pleased that you decided to work with Claranet. Thank you very much for your business. So could you share with the team the reasons you chose Claranet? Because I know you looked at a number of competitors.
Yeah, so whenever we look to choose a tech partner, we're looking for a partner that's a good cultural fit with Moneycorp. We're a medium-sized company, but we're very dynamic in nature. So we're always looking for a partner who understands our needs and our vision, and could provide a bespoke offering that was in line with those needs. When we consider the proposal from Claranet, we should really be looking at two proposals. Obviously, we had the first one for the landing zone and the migration planning, and then the second for the actual migration. I think in the original proposal, I'd say its strengths were its focus on getting the migration done in the timelines that we'd set out. That was obviously very important to us because we have a deadline to get out of our data center by a certain time. I'd say the weakness of that proposal was the fact that it was time and materials based rather than a proposal which was outcomes based. And with that original proposal that we had, there were no clear outcomes specified, no acceptance criteria or definition of done. And I think that in the end, that caused some issues in people knowing what the direction was and who was responsible for what. That's something we've now resolved, though, with our subsequent statement of work and this second proposal. I'm feeling a lot happier that we're able to get an agreement around delivering outcomes for the migration phase of the project. I think the new proposal that we have in place now really suits the way that Moneycorp are growing in our experience and our capability with Azure. And I think, even just in the last 6 or 7 months, we've gone from being really green when it comes to Azure and doing migrations to people whose confidence is growing all the time. And I'm really pleased that Claranet have been able to flex their approach to accommodate that and embrace this ethos that we have, and where we really want you guys to, help teach us how to fish rather than catch all the fish for us.
Okay. So that's the real question. So you've worked with this probably 6 months plus now. So what's been the experience like working with Claranet, and probably what have been the highlights and what have been the lowlights? It's interesting to hear both.
Yeah, I think the highlights, very recently we've brought on a technical strategist to work with us, and it's great that we've now got that kind of technical leadership that I think was missing from the project, and the project governance as well. I think has been really good. You've understood what we wanted to do, when we needed to get it done. Been very good at front loading a lot of the sessions we had at the early stages of the project to make sure that we flushed out all the requirements, that we were capable of doing this within the timeline. And now that we've got our project managers working together, I think the plan really feels that it's solid. It's going to stand up to scrutiny, and I'm feeling a lot more confidence that we'll be able to get this done on time. I think the main concerns have been around our understanding of each other, really, and our needs and our cloud vision. So at times it's felt like as if we're not pulling in the same direction, with Claranet maybe thinking we're trying to achieve one thing, and Moneycorp thinking, no, we should be trying to achieve another. I think at the end of the day, that comes down to the fact that maybe we just didn't set those goals as clearly as we should have at the start of the project, and everybody bought into those goals. We've got a very capable team at Moneycorp with a clear idea on how we want to operate in Azure. That vision hasn't always been heard by Claranet. I think that has definitely led to friction. So I think it's important for a project such as ours to have a cloud vision and a vision of the client understood, and the measures of success at the heart of that project as well, and how the project is approached. But hopefully, Mark, now through our recent discussions and the new proposal that we've got in place, that cloud vision has really come to the forefront. And I'm really hopeful now that everyone's clear on what we're trying to achieve as a team, and how both Moneycorp and Claranet will work together to achieve that.
Okay, that's great. It's really good to hear. And I recognise that, every engagement's a bit of a journey, and it's been taking a little bit sometimes for the two sides to understand one another. But it seems to be heading in direction now, so that's really pleasing. So I guess last question from me then, Des. What does good look like in 12 months? What's your world going to be like at the end of this project? How are you going to what would it need to look like for you to turn around and say that was a fantastic outcome?
Well, we've set out our measures of success right at the start of the project, because I think it was important to keep people focused on exactly that. What does good look like? What is a good job on this project going to actually mean to us? And those measures of success, I know we've gone through them, Mark, and a lot of the team has as well, but they're very much around operational readiness, making sure that our team of engineers are capable of looking after our estate once the initial engagement has completed. Security, working in financial services is very important to us, and making sure that the excellent security we've already got in place with our on-prem data centers doesn't result in us opening up a security hole unwittingly as we move things into Azure. So that's really up there as well. We talked about costs earlier. I think it's about managing costs effectively, and that's something that in the fullness of time we will get better at, but we want to be starting off in a pretty good place. You know, kind of cost neutral is how I'm seeing that at the moment over the next sort of year or so. It's also about disaster recovery as well. We've got a really effective DR plan in place with our existing data centers. We want to make sure that that's also the case when we move to Azure. I know we've got our technical strategist overlooking some of the designs that we've proposed, and hoping that again we're successful in applying good DR with the cloud as well. And then, you know, the other one that I've previously mentioned is that kind of speed and agility, increasing the developer productivity, actually feeling that we're moving at a faster pace than maybe we were when we were using the on-prem data centers. I think for the relationship with Claranet to be successful, you know, we've got to work together well as a team. Having a common goal is a key essence in teamwork, as we both know. And I hope now that we share that common goal of what we want out of this engagement, you know, we'll get the migration done. We'll equip the Moneycorp team with the techniques and the experience that they'll need to successfully go on and manage their estate. What does good look like in 12 months' time is, you know, essentially we're out of our current data centers. That's definitely one of the things that we want to achieve in the next 12 months. And really, we've done that in a way that's avoided any kind of serious impediment to the business. Being able to do it in a really safe, responsible way. Yeah, I think that probably about covers it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Des, and thank you for answering my questions. I think the team are going to find that you know, really useful and insightful. And thank you for your business once again.
Great, thanks. Glad to be of help. Thanks, Mark. Cheers.